Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens Part 219 based on novel. So let's start. Xiao Yan's eyes were stunned as he studied the clan tattoo on the forehead of the skinny figure. A great storm seemed to have risen within his heart. Under normal circumstances, he should be the only person within the current Xiao clan that possessed such a clan tattoo. Why had it suddenly appeared on this mysterious person? Xiao clan's clan tattoo. Zhano's group had also discovered this tattoo. Their stunned eyes were thrown to Xiao Yan. All of them had seen Xiao Yan use the Xiao clan's clan tattoo. Hence, they were extremely familiar with this thing. Could it be an ancestor of the Xiao clan? Zhano guessed. Xiao Yan's heart shook upon hearing this suggestion. This purifying demonic lotus flame had existed for a long period of time. If one were to trace its history, it had existed far longer than the Xiao clan had. It was not impossible for this flame to have captured an expert from the Xiao clan during that era. Some joy involuntarily rose within Xiao Yan's heart, but this joy had just risen when it gradually sank. This skinny man seemed to have become a fire slave of the purifying demonic lotus flame. Bang! The skinny man, whose aura had soared, suddenly swung his axe forward while those thoughts were lingering in Xiao Yan's heart. A frightening wind instantly tore through the air and hacked into Ziyang and Jiyu Nanhai's energy barrier. The energy barrier was like being curled in front of this frightening attack that could slash through the sky and the land. The barrier was quickly shattered. Ziyang and Jiyu Nanhai inside seemed to have suffered heavy blows. Their expressions turned pale as they staggered dozens of steps back. Each of their steps left behind a half-foot-deep footprint. Raw? That skinny man did not stop after forcing back Ziyang and Jiyu Nanhai with his axe. His body moved, and he appeared above the two of them. That strange blood-colored axe emitted a sizzling sound as it cut through empty air. It was accompanied by a destructive force as it immediately hacked toward Ziyang and Jiyu Nanhai. While the large axe was slashing down, Xiao Yan's eyes were rapidly flickering as he stood a short distance away. He suddenly clenched his teeth before his body flashed. His body then appeared in front of Ziyang and Jiyu Nanhai. At the same time, a clan tattoo swiftly surfaced on his brow. The enormous blood-colored axe rapidly magnified in Xiao Yan's eyes, but when the blood-colored axe was half a foot from Xiao Yan, it suddenly stilled. The corpse-like face of the skinny man, with his unusually cold and indifferent expression, finally revealed a fluctuation. Looking at the large blood-colored axe suspended above his head, Xiao Yan sighed in relief in his heart, appearing as though he had been relieved of a great burden. The fire lotus floating on his palm under his sleeve quietly scattered. He raised his head. His eyes stared at the face of the skinny man, who appeared at a loss. The skinny man appeared to be remembering something. Xiao Yan cupped his hands together and spoke in a deep voice, "May I know the name of this elder?" "I am Xiao Yan, a member of the Xiao clan." Xiao clan. A ripple immediately rose within the skinny man's lost eyes after hearing this term. He looked at Xiao Yan in front of him. Gradually, a mysterious connection slowly surfaced in his heart. This familiar feeling was the taste of a bloodline. You are a member of the Xiao clan." The skinny man opened his mouth. A hoarse voice was finally emitted from it. Xiao Yan hurriedly nodded. From the looks of the situation, this mysterious person seemed to be related to the Xiao clan. "Who am I?" However, this joy had only surged onto his heart when he felt icy cold because of the skinny man's subsequent words. This elder did not appear to have a clear mind. "You are Xiao Chen, blood-colored axe Xiao Chen." A voice was suddenly transmitted from behind Xiao Yan. That voice was filled with shock. Xiao Yan turned his head. He looked at Jiyu Nanhai, who had a face filled with disbelief, and asked, "Xiao Chen." Xiao Chen, that skinny man, also frowned and muttered to himself. "Elder Jiyu, are you acquainted with this elder?" Zhano rushed over and asked in surprise. "I am unacquainted with him. However, I have seen this blood-colored axe in the ancient books. The Xiao clan had produced an outstanding person back then." The weapon that this person was known to use was an extremely large blood-colored axe. That person was called Xiao Chen. Gu Manhai stared at the skinny man and said, Xiao Chen possessed a shocking talent. He could be considered a cousin of Xiao Xian. However, he did not like to be restrained by anything and was a rather temperamental person. An unknown number of experts perished to his axe before he became renowned. In the end, he disappeared without reason. The Xiao clan was unable to find anything about him regardless of how they searched. It is unexpected that he has actually appeared here. That's right, news of the purifying demonic lotus flame had spread soon after he went missing, Gu Nanhai suddenly exclaimed as he suddenly recalled something. Ancestor Xiao Xian's cousin. Xiao Yan was stunned as he frowned. Putting it this way, this person could also be considered his ancestor. However, he avoided the great calamity of the Xiao clan by being here. It cannot be clearly described as a blessing or a disaster. Gu Nanhai walked to Xiao Yang's side and sighed. Xiao Yang was quiet. He looked at this Xiao Chen, who was an ancestor of the Xiao clan. At this moment, Xiao Chen revealed a struggle on his face. It appeared as though he was resisting something. He is resisting the control of the purifying demonic lotus flame, Gu Nanhai cried out in a low startled voice after seeing Xiao Chen's face. Xiao Chen held his giant axe while his body continued to tremble. A faint cream-colored flame gradually escaped through his pores. Xiao Yang's expression was slightly astonished upon seeing this. The purifying demonic lotus flame was trying to use some method to get Xiao Chen to obey it once again, but Xiao Yang did not know how he could help at this moment. After all, that demonic flame had formed in Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Yang's hand suddenly rubbed his forehead while he was feeling somewhat helpless. That light cluster within his head emitted a faint fluctuation at this moment. That light cluster, which had suddenly moved, caused Xiao Yang to be startled. He quietly sensed that slight fluctuation. His eyes suddenly flashed with joy a moment later. Xiao Yang Ge. Zana by the side saw Xiao Yang suddenly lift a leg to walk to the trembling Xiao Chen. She involuntarily cried out in a hurried voice. Xiao Yang waved his hand when he heard her exclamation. He quickly walked to Xiao Chen's side and suddenly slapped his hand against Xiao Chen's shoulder. Xiao Chen's trembling body strangely came to a halt after Xiao Yang's hand touched him. The cream-white flame that had surfaced within his body slowly disappeared. Xiao Chen emitted a couple of rough breaths from his mouth. He lifted his head only a moment later and looked at the clan tattoo on Xiao Yang's forehead with a somewhat complicated expression. His voice was hoarse as he asked, "How is the Xiao clan now?" Xiao Yang was quiet. He softly replied, "The Xiao clan no longer exists." He then gave a brief explanation about the current situation of the Xiao clan. Xiao Chen did not open his mouth from the moment Xiao Yang started talking, but blood slowly rolled down his tightly clenched fist. He finally spoke in a trembling voice a long while later, "Even big brother Xiao Xian died." Xiao Yang softly sighed as he looked at Xiao Chen, who was clenching his fist with his head lowered. He was aware that Xiao Chen's heart was filled with a great hatred, but even if he had remained in the Xiao clan would not have been able to avoid disaster. The Han clan was far too powerful. This place is the demonic flame realm. Ancestor Xiao Chen, please bring us to the purifying demonic lotus flame, Xiao Yang softly requested. All of you are no match for the purifying demonic lotus flame. Xiao Chen shook his head. His voice was still hoarse. There is no way to survive even if we continue remaining in this place, Xiao Yang faintly smiled. His eyes flickered with a light. Follow me. Xiao Chen lifted his head. He exchanged a glance with Xiao Yang before he slowly stood up. After which, he turned around and headed to the final door. Let's follow. Xiao Yang did not say much. He gently waved his hand and followed. Gu Nanhai opened his mouth but did not say anything. All he could do was follow. The entire group quietly followed behind Xiao Chen. They watched him slowly push open that door. Behind the large door was a flight of stairs that extended into the distance. At the other end of the stairs was a huge stone dais. Xiao Yang faintly smiled as he glanced at the stone dais at the end. He took the lead to climb the stone stairs and slowly walked to the end. Xiao Chen, Zana, and the rest hesitated for a moment before quickly following behind. Everyone was quiet as they climbed the stone stairs. Around 10 minutes later, they finally began to approach the dais. Xiao Yan lifted his head. He could see a huge throne quietly sitting on that altar. A white-robed figure was seated at that spot. Wisps of a cream-white flames lingered around him, morphing into various shapes. This white-robed figure quietly sat. Not the tiniest aura spread from the figure, but that figure appeared extremely strange to Xiao Yang's group. That white-robed figure finally opened his eyes when everyone stepped onto the dais. A smile that caused one to feel a little startled appeared on his face. You will be able to obtain the essence of the demon flame if you defeat me. Otherwise, all of you shall remain here forever and become my fire slaves. His voice was gentle and warm, but it seemed to cause space itself to tremble. Gu Nanhai's group revealed grave expressions as their hearts started to feel defeat. This person in front of them caused them to feel as though he was invincible. The silence continued for a moment before Xiao Yang finally exhaled for a long time. His face contained some fatigue while a low and deep voice slowly sounded. Purifying demonic lotus flame, looks like you have obtained all of the inheritances of the purifying demonic lotus saint. Otherwise, you would not have been able to practice the nightmare heaven fog to such a level. I must admit that the illusion that you have created is even more real than the Bodhisattva ancient tree's illusion. However, regardless of how real an illusion is, it is ultimately an illusion. Xiao Yang's low voice quietly reverberated across the dais. The warm smile on the handsome man's face also gradually stiffened. The smile on the white-robed man's handsome face slowly disappeared. A strange icy chill replaced it. Both of his eyes stared intently at Xiao Yang, but he did not speak. The surrounding space trembled like a wave of water. Illusion? Zana and the rest were startled upon hearing Xiao Yang's words. They seemed to have come to an understanding. Are you saying that we are still in an illusion? I am real. Zi Yang hurriedly proclaimed. Based on her senses, she was definitely real and did not exist in an illusion. We are all real. Xiao Yang's eyes stared at the white-robed man as he softly said, however, we have all stepped into an illusion. This is the most terrifying aspect of the nightmare heaven fog. If we continue to progress as the purifying demonic lotus flame had planned, we would only sink further and further into it. In the end, we would have become its fire slaves. Even though we experience a big battle and win, we will still remain in an illusion. You mean that those fire slaves we have met, including Xiao Chen, are all an illusion? Gu Nanhai frowned. He suddenly looked at the silent Xiao Chen and asked a question. There is reality in fake and fake in reality. This is why the purifying demonic lotus flame is most terrifying. Ancestor Xiao Chen is not an illusion. He is real. Xiao Yang shook his head. He glanced at Xiao Chen and softly said, however, most of his consciousness was controlled by the purifying demonic lotus flame. Zana and the others looked at each other. After which, their eyes cautiously swept around them, but they were unable to sense even the slightest fluctuation from an illusion regardless of how carefully they looked. Back then, the purifying demonic lotus saint was known as a peak expert who was closest to the Do Di class, but he eventually suffered a backlash from the purifying demonic lotus flame, which resulted in his death. The purifying demonic lotus flame had obtained his inheritance after his death. The nightmare heaven fog was a Do skill that the purifying demonic lotus saint was renowned for. When the purifying demonic lotus saint unleashed this skill, he was able to get millions of people in an entire city to live in an illusion for centuries. The magical effect of this illusion is not something that an ordinary person can comprehend. Xiao Yang softly sighed. His voice also contained some surprise. This illusion was absolutely terrifying even if one simply thought about it. The purifying demonic lotus saint was indeed worthy of the title demonic saint. The purifying demonic lotus flame did not possess such an ability in the past. Gu Nanhai spoke in a deep voice. No one had met such a troublesome problem the last few times the demonic flame had appeared. 1,000 years can change many things. It can give the purifying demonic lotus flame enough time to gradually learn all the tricks of the purifying demonic lotus saint. From a certain point of view, its current self could be described as another purifying demonic lotus saint, Xiao Yan softly explained. His eyes stared at the white-robed man, whose expression had become even colder. Why is it that you have such a great understanding of the nightmare heavenly fog? The white-robed man on the throne finally asked a question in a somewhat dense voice. Xiao Yan smiled. His hand rubbed his forehead without being obvious, but he did not reply to the question. The reason that he had been able to come to a sudden understanding and had been able to detect the strangeness of the situation was naturally because of a clue given to him by the light cluster in his mind. If not for the light cluster, even Xiao Yan would have ended up dying in this place. Before the reminder of that mysterious light cluster, he had never even thought that they would still be in an illusion even after escaping the nightmare heaven fog. Looks like you have been creating this illusion for 1,000 years. Of course, if nothing unexpected happened, you would have gained a huge victory this time around. I'm afraid that no one would have been able to discover a clue about this place. Xiao Yan slightly smiled. His heart was filled with relief. This place had been built by the purifying demonic lotus flame for 1,000 years. It would not be broken so easily. If he had not obtained that mysterious light cluster from the ancient map, those who entered the demonic flame realm this time around would have been completely eradicated. Even those from the Hall of Souls would not be an exception. But it is unfortunate. The white-robed man's eyes were cold and indifferent as they stared at Xiao Yan. Strands of cream-white flames slowly spread from his body. An annihilation temperature gradually covered this area. The expression of Zun Er's group changed after seeing the white-clothed man prepare. They hurriedly clustered together while revealing a cautious expression in their eyes. Since this is an illusion, how should we break it? The feeling that this fellow gives us is extremely real. Yao Lao softly spoke. He was gradually beginning to trust what Xiao Yang was saying. They had already fallen into an illusion, but the white-robed human figure with a flame around him told them that they would still end up dead if they were killed in this place. Regardless of how it appears to be real, an illusion is ultimately an illusion. As long as your hearts feel that he is extremely strong, he will never be defeated. His strength in this place is determined by the thoughts in our hearts. Xiao Yang softly explained. You are seeking death. The handsome face of the white-robed man finally changed after Xiao Yan's words sounded. He let out a furious cry as he moved his body. After which, he appeared above Xiao Yan's head. He clenched his hand, and a cream-white flame transformed into a long fire spear. He swung his arm, and the long spear tore through space itself. It was accompanied by a destructive feeling as it ruthlessly shot toward Xiao Yan's group. Everyone's expression became slightly pale when they sensed this destructive force. Do not unleash any Do Chi defenses. Just treat him like a completely useless dog in your hearts. Otherwise, all of us will die. After seeing this attack, Xiao Yan's voice appeared like thunder as he suddenly cried out. The thunderous roar that echoed beside his ear also blasted everyone's hearts until they trembled. They could not even spend the time to think about Xiao Yan's extremely funny comparison as they hurriedly suppressed the fear in their hearts. After which, they stiffened their bodies and withdrew all of their Do Chi. All they could do was put their trust in Xiao Yan at this moment. Bang! The enormous fire spear descended from the sky. It was accompanied by a destructive force that ruthlessly surrounded their bodies. However, that fire-long spear suddenly disappeared just when they thought their bodies were about to suffer a serious blow. Bastard! A furious expression appeared on the handsome face of that white-robed man who was floating in the sky. His body began to reveal signs of being an illusion at this moment. He had not expected Xiao Yang to find a method to weaken his strength with such great speed. Nightmare illusion, break! Xiao Yan's expression was grave. He pressed down with his finger as a drop of essence blood shot out of his hand. The essence blood swiftly moved on his finger and formed a strange blood symbol. Breaking nightmare seal? How do you know about this? The white-robed man's expression quickly turned gloomy after seeing that blood symbol. Go? Xiao Yan completely ignored him. He pressed down with his finger and the blood symbol shot out. After which, it ruthlessly adhered to the empty space in front of him before the entire space began to tremble. Finally, it emitted a bang in front of Xiao Yan's group's joyous eyes and exploded apart. Xiao Yan's group suddenly sensed a giddiness in their minds the moment the space exploded. They hurriedly opened their eyes. A sea of magma appeared in their eyes after they opened them. Occasionally a cream-colored flame would be emitted from the magma. This cream-colored magma continued to extend to the horizon. It seemed that this entire realm was just a sea of magma. There were some large mountain rocks floating in the air above the sea of magma. Xiao Yan's group was on one of these mountain rocks. An enormous silver light circle was slowly rotating a short distance behind them. "Have we come out?" Zhana's group sighed in relief after seeing this foreign place. "Don't tell me that this is still an illusion." Yao Lao looked around him and questioned in a somewhat frightened voice. They were really afraid after what had happened earlier. None of them could have imagined that all their hard work over such a long time was all for naught. "The purifying demonic lotus flame does not have such an ability," Xiao Yan smiled. His heart sighed in relief after having been relieved of a great burden. It seemed as though his soul had become a lot lighter after having escaped from that damn illusion. The nightmare heaven fog was indeed worthy of being a dose skill that the purifying demonic lotus saint was renowned for. It was really too frightening. Roar? Xiao Chen by the side once again emitted a low roar while Xiao Yang was sighing in relief. A struggling expression surfaced on his face as he informed everyone in a hurried hoarse voice, "The purifying demonic lotus flame is trying to control me again." Xiao Yang's expression changed slightly upon hearing this. Although Xiao Chen was considered a fire slave of the purifying demonic lotus flame, he was able to rely on his strength to resist the control of the purifying demonic lotus flame. If it was possible to find a method to remove the control of the purifying demonic lotus flame, he would definitely be a great help. Xiao Yan was lacking such a peak expert, who could hold his own weight. Thinking about it was one thing while doing it was another. Xiao Yan had already experienced just how frightening the purifying demonic lotus flame could be. How could it be so easy to destroy its control over Xiao Chen? The mysterious light cluster in Xiao Yan's head suddenly emitted a slight fluctuation while he was thinking of a way to help. "This is..." Xiao Yan was slightly startled after sensing this fluctuation. He sensed his surroundings before his face revealed joy. His hand suddenly pressed against Xiao Chen's forehead. A spiritual strength surged out and swiftly drew an invisible symbol on Xiao Chen's forehead. Following the formation of this symbol, the struggle on Xiao Chen's face began to weaken. This can only temporarily isolate the control of the purifying demonic lotus flame. In order to completely remove it, we must finish off the purifying demonic lotus flame. Xiao Yan withdrew his hand and softly spoke after seeing Xiao Chen returning to normal. Many figures began to suddenly appear on those floating mountain rocks after Xiao Yan's word sounded. They floated in the sky and continued to pant. A horror covered their faces. "Looks like your act of tearing apart the illusion has created a domino effect and gotten all of these people out," Yao Lao spoke after seeing these individuals. "It is just as well that they have come out. With our strength alone, we are unable to finish off the purifying demonic lotus flame." Xiao Yang slightly smiled. His eyes were thrown to the sea of magma a short distance away. The magma was slowly rising at that spot. 1,000-foot large magma pillar rose from the sea of magma. It slowly came to a halt after reaching the same height as everyone else. It writhed and a white-robed handsome man appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The expressions of Xiao Yan's group became grave after observing this lifelike figure. This current person was the true purifying demonic lotus flame. The entire place quickly became silent as everyone stared at the white-robed man who had suddenly appeared on the magma pillar. Numerous pairs of eyes were looking at him with excitement and greed. Given the eyesight of everyone present, they were naturally able to identify that the true form of the man in front of them was the purifying demonic lotus flame. Purifying demonic lotus flame. It is unexpected that you have mastered the purifying demonic lotus saint's nightmare heaven fog to such an extent over 1,000 years. You really let one look at you in a different light. The black-robed chief of the Hall of Souls on a mountain rock lifted his head. His expression was slightly ugly as he stared at the purifying demonic lotus flame. He had also been trapped in the illusion earlier. If the illusion hadn't suddenly broken apart, even he would not have discovered that he was still in an illusion. This demonic flame is becoming stranger. This time around, we must not allow it to continue to roam free. If it is allowed to escape, the Central Plains will definitely suffer a great calamity. That elder Xiao Yan from the Yao clan stared at the purifying demonic lotus flame with heated eyes. Greed continued to flow from his heart. He had never heard of a heavenly flame building strange illusions, which even he was unable to detect, ever since he had begun to train. The experience earlier allowed him to sense just how terrifying the purifying demonic lotus flame was. It was also precisely because of this power that the greed within his heart had soared many times over. Many people around nodded after hearing Xiao Yan's words. Their faces were a little horrified as they stared at the purifying demonic lotus flame. The strength the purifying demonic lotus flame had displayed was far too frightening. The white-robed man on the magma pillar looked at the chief of the Hall of Souls and the others without containing even the slightest emotion in his eyes, but he ignored them as his eyes locked onto Xiao Yan, who had remained quiet. A moment later, his icy-cold voice slowly demanded, "Why is it that you can break my nightmare heaven illusion?" "I was lucky, I guess." Xiao Yan spread his hands. It was naturally impossible for him to reveal the truth. This demonic flame realm was filled with a strange aura. At a glance, one could tell that this purifying demonic lotus flame was an extremely troublesome character. He was not confident he could subdue it now. Moreover, that mysterious light cluster in his head was his only hope. He would naturally not expose it. It is actually this lad who broke the illusion. Many people in the surrounding sky threw some surprised gazes at Xiao Yan after hearing the words of the purifying demonic lotus flame. They would never have expected Xiao Yan to be the first to break the illusion that the purifying demonic lotus flame had created over 1,000 years with just the strength of a 2-star Doshen. Brother Xiao Yan is indeed skilled. Ha ha, looks like all of us here owe you a favor. Huo Xian, who was a short distance away, laughed. The chief of the Hall of Souls and the people from the Yao clan curled their mouths upon hearing this laughter. It was naturally impossible for them to accept that they were set free because of Xiao Yan's good intentions. Xiao Yan was merely trying to survive. The white-robed man stared at Xiao Yan with cold and indifferent eyes. He would never believe this reason. Wouldn't the nightmare heaven fog that he created be a joke if one could break the illusion with just good luck? Forget it, I will naturally get you to explain to me how you broke it in detail once you become my fire slave. Although all of you escaping the illusion has exceeded my expectations, your final fates will still be the same. The white-robed man waved his hand and an invisible fluctuation spread. The cream-colored light cluster in the sky slowly disappeared in the process. Everyone was startled upon seeing this change. The purifying demonic lotus flame had covered the spatial tunnel. From the looks of it, it was obvious that the purifying demonic lotus flame was intending to kill everyone present. Demonic flame refining heaven. A fierce cream-white flame suddenly erupted from the white-robed man's body soon after the spatial tunnel was removed. It rapidly grew. Within the blink of an eye, it had enveloped the entire area, appearing just like a fire prison as it wrapped around Xiao Yan's group. Then 4 enormous cream-white fire curtains poured down from the sky. They connected with the sea of magma below. Looking from a distance, it appeared as though a cube prison had been formed that connected the sky and the land. Xiao Yan's group clustered together. Xiao Yan's expression was grave as he looked at his surroundings. They could sense a terrifying temperature that caused their expressions change rapidly, spreading apart. "He wishes to refine all of us," Yao Lao remarked in a grave tone. "The strength of the purifying demonic flame is extremely frightening. Its current self is likely equivalent to a peak 5-star Doshen. Adding the unique ability of the demon flame, it would be able to fight even a 6-star Doshen. No one here will be able to surpass it in terms of strength." Xiao Chen, who had not opened his mouth, slowly spoke. He understood the purifying demonic lotus flame very well and clearly possessed an idea of its current strength. Peak 5th star. Everyone's expressions altered upon hearing this information. There was an extremely big gap between each level within the Doshan class, especially when the actual form of the other party was the third-ranked heavenly flame, the purifying demonic lotus flame. It would be incomparably troublesome to fight it. Bang bang. A low explosion suddenly sounded a short distance away while everyone's hearts were being cautious. Xiao Yan's group hurriedly turned their heads, only to watch many figures explode into clusters of blood fog. The blood fog had just appeared when it was vaporized by that frighteningly high temperature. These sudden deaths from the explosion of one's body immediately caused many people to panic. They had not seen an attack be unleashed, but these people. More and more figures exploded out of the blue as everyone began to feel more panicked. The deep bangs caused one's scalp to turn numb. This method of killing really left no traces. Be careful. The purifying demonic lotus flame is extremely strange. It can use one's emotions as a source to burn one's body. Those who do not wish to die should avoid having random thoughts. Someone with great experience finally cried out loud as this panic spread. The remaining people hurriedly suppressed the emotional fluctuation within their hearts after hearing this cry. They tried their best to remain calm and the self-destructions gradually diminished. These people do not even possess the qualification to become my fire slaves. The white-robed man lifted his eyes in an indifferent manner. His voice was icy cold and mysterious. Those below the Doshan class explode in flames. Bang bang. The entire area became chaotic the moment the white-robed man's final word sounded. Over 80% of the elite Dozans exploded apart at this moment. It appeared as though a bomb had been planted within their bodies. What terrifying methods this person uses. Xiao Yan's group began to sense their feet become cold after seeing over half the people in the sky disappear in the blink of an eye. Fortunately, those experts from the Sky Mansion Alliance had not entered. Otherwise, over half of them would have died because of a single sentence from this white-robed man. Well, only those who remain have the right to become my fire slaves. That white-robed man's handsome face revealed a smile after seeing the sky becoming a lot emptier. He waved his hand and 10 magma pillars shot out of the sea of magma below. The magma pillars exploded apart and 10 figures in cream-white fire armor appeared around the white-robed man. They are all elite Doshans. Xiao Yan quickly inhaled a breath of cool air as he glanced at the 10 figures with hollow eyes. These 10 figures were all fire slaves. The most shocking thing was that these people had all reached the Doshan class. The strongest fire slave among them had the strength of an advanced 3-star Doshan. Everyone present was dull as they faced the purifying demonic lotus flames lineup. Even the chief of the Hall of Souls frowned. There will be many people who think highly of themselves barging in each time I tear open the seal. Unfortunately, all of them eventually become my obedient fire slaves. The white-robed man smiled as he looked at everyone and softly said, "This time around, my reward is destined to be a lot greater." The chief of the Hall of Souls stared at the lineup in the distance. One person whose strength was approaching the 6th star of the Doshan class and another 10 1 to 3-star Doshans. This lineup was something that even the Hall of Souls could not bring out. Everyone, regardless of whatever grudges we have formed between us, we must join hands if we wish to survive and defeat the purifying demonic lotus flame this time around. The chief of the Hall of Souls first looked in the direction of Xiao Yang's group. Zi Yang and Ji Yu Nanhai were all extremely outstanding individuals. Things would become a lot more troublesome if they refused to cooperate. The eyes of many experts flickered slightly after hearing the chief of the Hall of Souls' words. Given the fierce reputation of the Hall of Souls, no one had ever thought of cooperating with these people. The chief of the Hall of Souls was unsurprised at seeing everyone become quiet. He added in a faint voice, "All of you should hurry up and decide. Of course, if anyone is confident that they can finish off the purifying demonic lotus flame alone, I guarantee that I will not intervene." Although the Hall of Souls' notorious reputation has spread far and wide, what you say does make some sense. This purifying demonic lotus flame does not appear to be intending on allowing us to simply leave. Elder Huayao from the Yang clan hesitated for a moment before finally opening his mouth to speak. Given the current situation, banding together was definitely something they needed to do. The Yao clans, the Lei clans, and the Shi clan's elders mused for a moment before nodding after hearing the Yang clan agree to the suggestion. What should we do? Zana softly asked after seeing the chief of the Hall of Souls look at them. Cooperating with the Hall of Souls was undoubtedly equivalent to working with a tiger. Xiao Yan lifted his head. His eyes exchanged glances with the chief of the Hall of Souls for a moment before he smiled. He softly said, "We will do as Hall Chief has suggested. Let's cooperate and defeat the purifying demonic lotus flame first." Those who had agreed to cooperate all adopted the mentality of obtaining the purifying demonic lotus flame. Regardless of what the case was, the most important thing was to defeat the purifying demonic lotus flame first because they could only survive if it was defeated. At the same time, they would all experience the opportunity to snatch the body of the demon flame. Everyone formed their own schemes even though they decided to cooperate. This video will end here.